Alright, so straight to the point, I suppose. A true artistic vision, film, show, game, composition, whatever, will, at least for the foreseeable future, not be so easily replaced by a cheap enough at the expense of a little drinking water, I suppose, digital art scavenging text image excretion machine that I know I'm already referring to a bit scathingly. And this kind of AI can generate some genuinely cool looking images occasionally, once you've spent hours fucking around with the billion parameters and constantly editing the prompt, instead of, I don't know, picking up a legitimate hobby so as to possibly be even just slightly more interesting of a person, or if less vain, to gain more personal fulfillment. Whatever, who am I to be so scathing about this? But anyway, back to the topic. Digital art alone might have evolved in a way that the bar for quality has been raised. Meaning, as generative AI improves, artists must now be constantly improving even more rapidly to adapt, considering they have to deal with something quickly becoming their apex predator, so to speak. At least for artists making art as a job, and fighting against companies now figuring out how easy it is to type in generic, stupid, ugly, bubbly, cheap, soulless caricature of a possibly plastic facsimile of a human being, and then making the most obnoxious commercials and branding of all time with their newfound power. But art as a whole, as a holistic thing, when all the pieces come together, the storytelling, creativity, writing a compelling story using multiple elements, music, atmosphere, complex plots, a complex overarching storyline, consistent personalities, consistent world building, good world building, likable characters, good characters, an interesting world, an interesting setting, and all of that, and consistency, and whatever else there is. And so much more will not be replaced by a machine designed to scrape pre-existing properties that then mishmashes them up before regurgitating something at least mildly conventionally pleasing to the average person. And I mean, don't misinterpret anything I'm saying here. This kind of text-image generative AI currently has the ability to produce some pretty conventionally stellar-looking images and animations. But my point here is that it can't combine all of the complexities that go into creating something that is actually genuinely interesting and thought-provoking, or both. It can do some standalone things quite well, with enough time and prompt editing. But creating something actually artistic that is meant to stand the test of time, I guess something like Lord of the Rings.
They took the little ones. He's down. Frodo. Where is Frodo? I let Frodo go. Then you did what I could not.
Star Wars, etc. It simply cannot achieve such feats, and in my honest opinion, that I'm 99% sure right now will age like fine wine, surely, it never will. At least not without human intervention, to some degree, and real creativity. But even if generative AI improves to the point where it does become as useful as a spoon is for cereal, as a train is for transportation, or as useful as this idiot is for rich sheiks, well, this leads me to my next point. The tools don't make the craftsman. I guess this one's already a little obvious, but go give a monkey all the disassembled pieces of an S&W Model 29 revolver. Give it a gun, disassembled, and guess what? That monkey is not going to turn it back into a fully working gun. Give it all the time that you need and that you can live through, it won't happen. It goes without saying that you can give somebody a $10,000 espresso machine or a $30,000 tablet, a workshop full of every tool you'd ever need to build a house, but if that man doesn't know how to properly pull a shot, the basics of anatomy and shading and lighting, or how to even lay down a proper foundation, well, guess what that man is? Fucked. I mean, yeah, sure, sometimes you can get lucky. A good amount of anything that's ever done seemingly perfectly in life is just pure dumb luck most of the time. But I can assure you that somebody who already knows how to do what it is they sent out to do and has a vision is 9 times out of 10 going to prevail over the monkey with a bunch of gun pieces. Without being too much more scathing or disrespectful, I suppose, because I guess I'm just pretending to care about that right now, I'd offer you to have a look at what a fair majority of generative AI is even used for, because there's a lot of AI images being generated. And yes, as I've already said, many times in fact, occasionally it may produce something striking to the eye. But if you want to see the majority usage of generative AI, the true ingenuity of this learning machine scavenging the best art on the internet from all kinds of different artists to produce masterpieces beyond human porn. Producing porn. Yeah, if there's one takeaway I want you to really solidify in your synapses from this is that your competition really boils down to a bunch of mentally ill, uncreative, unmotivated, super sticky turbo gooners who had to finally buy a subscription to whatever AI service they're using because they generated about 1,000 past the limit of the most depraved, brain-melting, beyond sissy hypno goon fuel imaginable. Out of anything I'm going to say that I have already said or that I will continue saying, this single fact alone is what allows me to sleep pretty easily at night, at least in this context, knowing that my competition, and many others, is too busy using their best to generate cockschlock. But I'm not done yet. I have a few more reasons why AI in general just doesn't really bother me, at least not generative AI. When it comes to overall creativity, I suppose. Alright, to be fair, this point might be a little niche and not important to everybody. But an artist, a truly skilled artist whose passion and knowledge for anatomy and shading and lighting and perspective and all else is typically, not always, but often adept in many other mediums. While they may prefer digital art, they could very well produce masterful and breathtaking traditional pieces as well, and also understand how to animate, maybe even create 3D masterpieces in something like Blender. The point is they are not bound to one medium, and the way they can express their talent is diverse. I guess you can generate something nice and then print it out, but I mean, let's be honest, lame as shit. Jokes aside though, AI generators for art cannot sculpt a masterpiece, paint a real piece of traditional art. It is bound to its medium, it is nothing physical, and it never will be. This point probably won't matter to a lot of people, as I've already said, because if something looks nice, then generally to a lot of people it looks nice. Who cares if it's on a real piece of paper or online? But there's something inherently more intriguing about a piece of art that is tangible, something crafted with real human hands and mind. Although this point might not age as well as some of my other points, to be honest. But hey, I mean, if the sun decides to get a little too flashy and wipe out the sea cables, then basically these guys become true Chad artists once more, at the loss of AI-generated hyperinflation, oiled skin hyperrealism gooner prompts, currently saturating the ever-loving shit out of ad spaces on just about any social media you go to that isn't Blue Sky or like Mastodon. Well, what a tragic loss that would be, huh? Think of how many innovations or improvements have arisen in the past decade or so. Autotune being a notable technology often misinterpreted by many and hated irrationally, but so many other technologies have come and made work less repetitive and tiresome for musicians, editors, writers, artists, etc. Yet, nothing has outright replaced these professions. You could hop onto FL Studio and, with a few plugins and some tinkering and adjustments to all the various knobs and whatnot, produce a decently believable instrument in the software, and just create a whole ass song in FL alone. It may not sound perfect, or even close to the instrument that it is mimicking, unless you have a strong grasp on like music theory, I guess. Yet people still play physical instruments, bands still exist, orchestras are still very much a thing. Even if AI gets extraordinarily, unbelievably amazing at creating videos of breathtaking landscapes and visuals currently thought not possible, people will still also just want to use their hands and their own raw talent. And honestly, there's just simply always going to be an audience for that. Much like how there are people who ride or die that AI is just a tool, there's always going to be a sizable amount of people who just won't consume AI content or indulge it, especially not financially. Whether irrational or not, humanity isn't changing drastically anytime soon. Nothing simply ever happens. Overall, while I do believe that some aspects of AI are definitely going to change the way artists do things and the way things are created, I'm not as much of a doomer about it as many of my associates and friends are. A soulless art scraper that can occasionally produce something that, albeit is sometimes breathtaking, I suppose, is just nothing more than visual fast food. I'm just not demoralized. Like, I don't care particularly. If anything, it just convinces me I need to consistently strive to dunk on it any way I can as some kind of challenge or something. Basically, I'm going to continue just doing what I have been doing, drawing and writing and creating whatever the hell I have been creating without much worry over something that is predominantly used by brain-melted porn prompt gooners and people who couldn't come up with a more interesting and original thought than "Tee Elon Musk's dancing with a minion." You really truly don't have anything to worry about. You just keep perfecting your hobbies and such, and you'll make it. And with that, I hope you all can draw a perfect picture of a brown Earth after generative AI sucked up all the water to produce high-res 8K Super HD silly naked minion images. But no, seriously, have a good one, lads, as usual.